Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're all doing great and having a good week so far. Here at Ankeny, Iowa, it's beautiful today. So I hope you are somewhere beautiful today. Let me check the comments. Oh, look at you all. You're all so ahead of me. Hello from hot Texas and Knoxville. Hello, crafty friends. Back at you, Rachel. And Ohio, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to have you join me today. I'm sure many of you joined Taylor on Tuesday and saw a bunch of our second chance things. I watched her video and I loved her cards that she did. So I am here to talk to you about another item from our second chance release that started on Tuesday. So good morning. And don't forget, the Advent calendar is still going on. Pre-order for that, so don't forget about that. And I don't have any tea for you today, only because I think you all know, I think there's been a lot of hints about that it's a color release. So all that kind of stuff, when that happens, you kind of don't get the same stuff because we want it to be a big surprise and let you guys start picking names. I know that starts on Friday, so I know a lot of you are ready to go and excited to start giving your guessing of the names. So that is coming on Friday, so make sure you follow and watch social media. Good morning. I see a sunny California and Pennsylvania. Good morning. Thanks for joining me. I just saw a note from us that says colors are coming. Yes, they are. So make sure you follow. I think they even just posted a link about the guessing game, but I believe I was told it starts on Friday. So, but you can at least get the deets on that. So I'm sure you guys will have lots of great guesses. So psst, I have a hint. It's gonna be a food name. So I know you all know that, but yeah, I'm super excited. The colors that are coming might be my new favorites. So yeah, I don't think that's giving anything away, but thanks for joining me. Yes. I don't know much else is going on here. I was excited this morning when I got up and there was actually kind of a chill in the air here in Iowa. Something broke. Our hot weather we've been having, it was like cool. I think when I drove to work today, it was like 64 degrees, it said on the car, and I thought, this is amazing. I need that. So Mindy says she can't wait for new colors either. April says the same. I know you're all excited. I am too. I don't have them. I don't have them at home, and it's really hard because they've been around here in the studio and we can't use them. So I can't wait to be able to show them and then use them on lives and, you know, add them to color combinations and mixes for the future. Hello from Wisconsin. Thanks for joining me. That makes for, wow, someone made a comment about the color release game, and you guys are doing math and you're very good at math. Let's just put it that way. So you'll have to look back through the comments. Man, you guys are such sleuths. That's awesome. You're good at that. I'm not sure I would start picking all these things out. You guys are so good at it. Detectives. So ooh, yes, lots. I can't say. I don't even really get to sneak peek. So, and I think I heard from Taylor and Whitney, they didn't do a reveal video. So you guys are really going to have to watch social media and our Facebook fan page this weekend. Yeah, nope, the design team has made their samples. So yes, I have had the new colors in my hands, but nothing that I can show you, let's put it that way. So yes, I've seen them, I've used them, I had to test them way back in the day. So yeah, and good morning from Omaha. You're not too far for us here either, Nancy. Have you ever been to the studio? If you ever come over to Des Moines, even if you come over to Des Moines, we're a quick 10-15 minute drive from Des Moines. So yeah, I just met some new friends downstairs in the studio yesterday. So wait, I take that back, Tuesday, not yesterday, Tuesday. So good morning. I think I'm going to switch you down and show you, even though it's probably been on social media and on your email, my cards. So let's switch down. I did a color combination that was inspired by Amy Coakling. I hope I pronouncing her name correctly. She had done a card for our combo club with the embossing folder and stencil combo club that I just loved. And I was like, that is beautiful. And I know I hear people say that flowers aren't blue, but these are not realistic flowers. So I feel like I can do about anything I want with them. And so I took a color combination, and I'll show that to you. And I used it on 3 different types of paper. So this one is on our perf paper, and just popped it up was all. I think in the future, I might add a couple of cluster of flowers up at the top and the bottom just to kind of fill it in, because my other samples, you get the space here and here are with the stencil design are in there. So this is our new stencil that came on Tuesday called Secret Garden, and we brought it to work and pair well with our My Wish for You, because I personally love little sayings like this, because I kind of love sometimes just because cards, and just saying hello or encouraging type cards, and we have so many fun sayings. I know we have even one that came out at graduation time. I wish I had grabbed it. And it says about memories and what you need is in front of you. And I used that one. It doesn't have to be for graduation. I used it for my daughter when she studied abroad last year. There's so many wonderful little sayings in these a la carte stamps. So just short little poems that really fill a front of a card. So we wanted something that would really embrace them and frame them in. And that's where this Secret Garden came from. But again, back to this, I used the first one was on perf paper, and then it is on a sugar cube card base. This one is, of course, on our sugar cube. So the colors just are pretty vibrant and pop. And then this one, of course, is Heather channeled. It is on toffee. And I know a couple of weeks ago I talked about using colored paper, so the sky's the limit. If you had another color combo, I probably could have used saltwater taffy also, would have been a 4th example. Pink flowers would be beautiful, and put one on like cupcake instead. So just to kind of think, sometimes your card base or your color of your card can really change your color combination. So I feel like these look very spring and summer, and this one kind of leans more fall. So you can get a different feel out of a color combo based on what your main card stock is. So yeah, I'm going to be making this one today. I love them all. This one is a little more fall, and I thought with the darker and the blue colors, maybe not do such a fall one for y'all today. But I also, when we're all done, I have another one that I did that's very summery. So this is the one I'm going to make, but it is the exact same thing, but this one's done on perf paper. And I did, for this one, I used our Label Stacklets 15. Let me grab that one, because I feel like this one can be a little harder to find on our website because it's a number, Label Stacklets 15. But I used that for this one and also for the vellum on this one. I do have something I want to show you. I did it, and I decided I didn't want to go with it because I didn't want such a fall looking card right now. So both of these are done with our copper embossing powder, and I did try copper on top of here. So let me see if I can try to cover up that white embossing powder so it's easier for you to see. I did really love the copper on this one also, but I thought it really took it fall, and it's summery and warm here, so it's kind of hard to think that direction. So I did the exact same thing, but on vellum. I know you guys loved the other day when Taylor did embossing on acetate, but you can also do it even easier on vellum. Skip the alcohol wipe that she did, but make sure you powder it really, really well, because vellum can be a little more staticky, I guess would be the word. So these two here were made with that Label Stacklets 15. And again, this is obviously white embossing powder. This one I did use the copper. But for this one, I'm doing something a smidge different. Oh, also, on this one, I don't know if you noticed, I did die cut from our A2 layer stacklets, die cut that, and then used our ridged rectangles to impress that also. I don't know if you can see that, but on this upper layer here, I use those ridged rectangles to add just a little more detail. It's easier to see in person. It is splattered with white for this one to kind of to tie in the white embossing powder. All of them have gold bits and pieces, the gold glitter ones, which, as you all know, is one of my favorites. But for this one, I used our rounded rectangle stacklets and our ridged rounded rectangle stacklets. That's hard to say quick. That's hard. Yeah, there's two more. I think they might have listed some of those other sentiment or poem style stamp sets that we have in our collection, like this one. I just love them. It started with the one that I use quite often for graduation, but works for a lot of things. It's just has always been one of my favorite. I've used it for years, so it was fun that we were able to produce it in a stamp. So I think Charlie might have added that. So let me share with you the colors I used for this. Let me make sure I've got them in screen for you. My yellows are honey, sweet corn, and then honey on top. My leaves are cilantro. And then my flowers, again, inspired by Amy Copeling from our design team, are snow cone, blueberry, and blue corn. And that's where that color combination came from. I met some sweet people down in the studio the other day, and she said, I just take what you all do and I copy it. Well, I took Amy's color combination and I'm copying it. There's nothing wrong with that. I just chose a different stencil and a little bit different layout. So let's get these out of the way. And I will grab a piece of paper that I've already cut to be just A2 size. With this large sentiment in the middle, I feel like I need my full real estate. If you wanted a little bit extra white around the edge, you could cut it down. I just really didn't want to, and layer it with white so you have a little bit of an edge. I just really didn't want to give up my flowers, any of them that I had blended. So I'm gonna let that set there. Set these aside and I'll grab my paper. All right, I wanted to make sure I grabbed the right piece. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, your basic A2 size card. I do love, oh, I love that someone just put it up there. Hopefully I left the colors there long enough for a screenshot. This is one of my must-haves in my stamp room. I always say this, the repositionable easy dots, because it keeps my paper in place, especially when I have a stencil that goes all the way to the edges. And then I did go ahead before the live, and it is very important to put your stencils in order. And another reason why it's great to put them in order is then you can always make sure that your etching is right side up. I think sometimes it's easy to flip it or have it upside down and then nothing will come together well. So I did put them all in order before I started today. Very important. And we're gonna start with layer 1, which is my yellows. I'm gonna line this up. I am using the square 6x6 stencil that's on my glass board. If you were working on paper, this stencil does have the alignment squares that you can mark off for ink blend. Tape that in place. I love the extra real estate for taping, and I'm not getting inside. You did. Someone said they were able to snap the pic of the ink. Thanks. I was really wondering. I appreciate that you let me know. I try to leave it there so you guys can get a screenshot because I do the same thing. So we're going to start with some of our sweet corn and do our basic ink blending. When I do this, I'm going to have this outer edge. Like if you want like a tonal gradient too, I'm going to let my outer edge be the lighter and my middle be a little bit heavier. I don't know if you can see it in this one right here where I use the base as snow cone and then there's some blueberry. I kind of focus around the center part for my darker colors just to kind of bring your eye in. So with that, I'm going to try for the most part to blend from the center out. and this is sweet corn. I love Amy's color combo mainly because snow cone and sweet corn I hardly use ever. And when I saw that card, I was like, why? I just think you kind of have your habits, and if you haven't really spent time with using colors, you don't see the different blend and what tones that you can get from light to dark. One of my favorite examples of that is honey. When I look at the cardstock, I think, wow, that's dark, that's really brown, has a lot of brown tones. But using it light-handed, it's a beautiful mustardy fall yellow that I just love. So can you see how I've got that a little bit darker right here compared to the edge? I'm doing that on purpose. Now I don't want to get too carried away because these are the stencils. There's 5 of them, and you have your green one, which is just one for your leaves. You only have one layer, and then layers 1 and 2 layer on top of each other. So you want to pick, I think, because I don't get too adventurous like Jill does. She does a great job layering colors. If you want to play it safe like I do, I'm going to pick tonal colors or colors that really blend well on top of each other, because you don't want to pick yellow and then, I know you wouldn't do this, like I don't know, maybe a blue on top of the yellow. You're going to get kind of a muddy look. You have to think about that next layer that's going to land on top of what you've already ink blended, being these are going on top of each other and not just right next to each other. You have to think about that. So my layer 1 and 2 are all the yellows, and then 3 and 4 are my blue colors, and then layer 5 is those leaves. So 5 you don't have to think about much, but the safe way is always to either use 2 different yellows or use a light hand of a yellow and then a heavier hand of your second yellow. Which the nice part about this is I can use the same brush and I don't have to clean off my mat because I'm going right into the next yellow. I don't have to worry about contaminating them. I'm going to swap colors here just so that I can maybe keep that brush a little bit lighter yellow, but we'll peel this up. So again, like I said, this is layer 1. And then layer 2 is the next layer to these flowers. So I'll lay this below. Can you see that? So that will be directly on top of whatever I just inked. So make sure whatever 2 colors you pick play well. And if you're using tones of the same color, they'll always be good together. Cheating, maybe. Easy route, maybe. But it always works. Tape that down, and I am just using my square on my glass board because this one is very forgiving. It's very watercolored and organic looking. The one thing is, if you look closely, all of your petals will have a line where it cuts off, and you can also line that up with the edge of your A2 cardstock. So let's go in with a little honey now. I am going to dab off as much as possible because honey can be strong. It is a very confident color in our family, in our TE family of colors. It has a lot of attitude. It can get really dark really fast if you're not careful. So I do dab off as much as I can. And with this one, I have a lot of real estate in the middle of my stencil, so I can go back and grab it. Am I doing opposite colors than the stencil? Oh, I must be. Yes, I guess I did. Sorry about that. I would have sworn I started with the yellow. Oh, that's my other card. Well, let's see how this goes. We're already here. Thank you. Good catch. If you had asked me, I would have just almost bet on the fact that I had used the yellow first. So yeah, I guess I did switch. So on this one, my layer 1, 2 is my blues, 3, 4 is my yellows. This one, swapped. I did a good job cleaning my stencil. I couldn't even see any halo of color. Well, we'll see which way we like it better. How about that? Hopefully that's not a big deal to anyone. I love that you say it has attitude. It's true. I mean, it is quite confident. It has, yeah, that's what I think of honey. That's what I also think of like dragon fruit. It has a lot of confidence and a lot of attitude. It shows up and takes over if you're not careful. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of alcohol on my microfiber cloth just to get the yellow out of the way so I don't have yellow and blue mixed green going on. I'm not even gonna pick up my cardstock. I'm just gonna be real careful to wipe around it. Good catch, sorry, I swapped my colors for this one. I think it's still gonna be beautiful. I won't swap cilantro for my last layer though, I promise. This is funny. I'm gonna see if I like which way I like it better. Maybe it'll make it a little more summery and less heavy because those outer 4 flowers are the biggest ones. So this might lighten things up a little bit. We'll see. I'd love to say I did that on purpose so that we could talk about it, but I didn't. All right, I have that lined up. There is, now that we're getting further into the layers, there are areas that you can see where they touch each other, and I can tell that I'm not lined up. So I'm gonna pick up my tape here for a second. I can tell that I'm scooched over to what would be my left a little bit. So I'm gonna fix that. So here I'm starting to see some of the color from my layer 1 and 2. And I just wanna make sure I'm lined up left to right. All right. There we go, that looks a lot better. There are a few pieces like here, you'll see those overlap a little bit. I just wanted to make extra sure I'm not too far off because I don't want white gaps between where these flowers should be touching. Obviously I cannot line up my stencil and talk at the same time. Okay. All right, one more piece of tape and we'll see how this blue goes then. So I'm gonna start with a light hand of snow cone and then again, kind of focus to the middle, and then I'm gonna come in with some blueberry around the edges. So this is layer 3. Again, on this one, it would have been 1, 2 that I was doing the blues. I didn't even really question that. Thank you for catching it so no one's confused by my sample. All right, if you're new to ink blending, I always try to, when I pick up ink, do it in a circular motion, and I do tap off in more of a tapping motion. You can either use your glass board, or if you have some space on your stencil, tap it in the middle, but always make sure you're going in every direction. So clockwise, counterclockwise, left, right, up, down. It just makes extra sure that you're getting all of those edges and where the stencil falls off onto the paper. It's just making extra sure that you're getting all those spots with plenty of color. I'm just gonna clean up the rest of this just to grab it. Let's see. Happy accidents, Sue says. I agree. And you guys are, I see some more comments about sleuthing about the colors. Unless that was revealed before. It was kind of like the other day, someone asked me about the pear blossom thing, and I was like, oh, didn't know. I never know when I can start sharing things. So switched my brush, didn't switch my brush, but at least switched my ink pad to blueberry. I'm going to come in with a very light hand because blueberry can be kind of strong, and add just some color to these from this inside center again, so I can leave kind of my edges a little lighter. I think it's really apparent in this one, and I apologize, I did it opposite, but I'm kind of curious to see which way I like it better. Hopefully I just like both. That would be a better outcome. Just love this gradient of blues. Thank you, Amy. I know I've talked to you guys. I finally purchased my big glass board for my stamp room. I love it. It's kind of an early birthday present. I did have a gift card that was like an Amex that you could use for whatever. So I thought it was the perfect reason. And I even finally got my glassboard buddy. I got that this week. Got my glassboard buddy. I lived a couple of weeks without that, but that is what sold me on having this big glassboard, and I love it. I mainly was on the fence because I have a stand-up desk, and it's really just the size of this glassboard. It has about, I don't know, another 4 inches off to the way I set it up off to the right that I can put, you know, scissors and stuff like that. But my real estate was kind of small. I just needed first to make sure it fit. I agree. Someone was saying the color tones that you can get out of blueberry is awesome. And I also love it. It's kind of my go-to guy color without being dark, like, you know, or heavy, like blue corn can be. So can you see all my depth of color that I got from doing that? So let's move, and we will move to our 4th layer, and that is our blue corn. So this is layer 4. So again, as long as you're using colors that like each other over top, you obviously couldn't go lighter. Even, I mean, you could use a lighter blue on your first layer if you wanted to, but then this 4th layer, being that sets up on top, has to be something darker. So remember that when you get this stencil, to kind of think ahead about your colors, that one, your 2nd and 4th layer are darker, and that your 1 and 2 coordinate and your 3 and 4 coordinate, or at least get along. You don't want something that you start blending and it turns to mud. That's what I always worry about the most. This is so forgiving, this one. I don't even, besides the edges, I don't really think there's a lot to pay attention to where it lines up or where it falls. So that is blue corn. All right. We'll move to our blue corn. And this one I'm just going to put down. I felt like I got this one a little darker than what I wanted to. So I'm gonna see, I'll peek. I'm gonna try to be good about putting down color and not getting too crazy with it. I always say you can always take away. It's kind of like making soup or a recipe. You can always add more salt or more spice, but you can never take it away when you're working with a recipe. Same way with ink. Once you've got it on there, it's very hard to get. You can hope it dries a little lighter. You could take a little sugar cube ink over the top, but a lot of times you're just kind of stuck once you've added too much. So I'm gonna peek. Let's see if we can peek and see what we've got. I kind of like that because it's not quite as dark as what I did on this one. All right, this might be our first reveal to see if I like the change in my layers. Oh, thanks, Jamie. Thanks for the support. I hope what you're talking about is the fact that I swapped my layers. So this is really pretty too. You get a lot more yellow with this one. She gave me permission don't apologize, she says. I love it. All right, now, being said I'm going to green, I do want to get rid of a little bit of this blue off of here. Yeah, my birthday is next week, so I think I know Heather has the live next week. So I'm going to spend the day with my girls. We're going to go get petties. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Is there any other summer birthdays out there? I already said around July 4th. My husband's birthday is on July 4th. I always think a summer birthday has its pros and cons. The pro is that it's halfway from Christmas. So when I was a little kid, I thought, ooh, I get gifts again halfway through the year, right? Totally selfish thought, but I remember thinking that. And it also is just kind of like summertime, so it's more relaxed and laid back. But when I was younger, we grew up on a farm. We had pigs and corn and beans. And I remember, I think I've told you guys this story, but I've got to repeat. It's been a while because it's my favorite. I'm moving on to layer 5. This is our cilantro, but it's my favorite. Is there anyone out there that ever had to walk beans growing up? So way back before chemicals were used and stuff to keep the weeds down, we used to walk through the rows of beans, and we got paid to walk. And like any milkweed or thistles or anything like that that would mess up the combine and the machines and stuff, we would pull those and get rid of them. And that makes harvest time easier on the machines, and then you get more for your beans when you go to sell them if you don't have weeds and remnants of other things mixed into your crop that you're selling, into the beans. So anyway, I was telling a really dear friend that I had met that had grown up basically on concrete. She lived in California and she had never been on a farm. She was tickled the first time she met a baby lamb. It was fun. She was just adorable. But I told her, I said, oh, on my birthdays growing up, it always landed during the height of working on the farm and stuff like that. So I always felt like we were always busy. And on my 16th birthday, I got to enjoy it with the hired hands and walked Beans. And she goes, oh, that's cute. You had a dog named Beans? And I was like, I died laughing. It's one of my favorite stories. So Danielle has a near and dear place in my heart every time I think about growing up and walking Beans. So nope, no dog named Beans, but I still love it. Still makes me laugh. Let's peek. I tried to do a little bit of gradient with my leaves. They're very small real estate, so you can't do it a ton. Kind of taking my brush and putting it up on its like tippy toe, as I would call it, just to add. You could grab a detail brush. That would be even better. But let's peek. Ooh, that's pretty too. Even though I swapped them, I almost think that's great because you're seeing the same card but not. So let me get this out of the way. I will clean my stencils later. Did anyone enjoy the walking bean story, or did I bore you to death? Oh, Kim said she detasseled. Kim, you are better than I. I lasted about, literally, I started in the morning and I left at lunchtime. I could not do that job. I'm short. That's what I blame it on, is that I'm short. I could not do it. I was short. I felt like, yeah, anyone who detasseled, especially if you walked and detasseled like I did the first time. I know my husband did detasseling where they were on a tractor type situation. That is much easier, but I did the whole walk detassel thing and it was too hard for me. So I have weaknesses, I guess. I love seeing it both ways. Let me put it back down before we get too far ahead. I'm going to dry this a little bit because I want to go about embossing this in the center, and I don't want this ink that's sitting up here and hasn't, even though it seems like it's dry to the touch, it will grab your embossing powder. And I would show you, but you can always do a test if you're curious if it's dry. Sprinkle on some embossing powder and shake it off, and if it sticks, you know that this ink is still wet. So when you go to do your sentiment, you're going to have a mess. I just know it's going to be wet. So to save myself the mess, I'm going to go grab my heat tool, which this will be good for heating it up when we want to do our sentiment. I do like it both ways. I do kind of actually think this way might be my preferred summer way. It's just a little lighter. Oh, thank you, Linda. She said she loves this so much. Oh, another city girl. She said she had a cat named Beans, and she thought I was talking about a dog, too. I love it. I love the cat named Beans. That's so cute. I love unique pet names. That's fun. I love that you thought I was talking about a dog, too. I just love that. Oh, Kim says nope, she had to walk the cornrows too to detassel. It's, I'm sorry, I just didn't make it. I'm a wimp, I guess. The walking beans was fine. The detasseling, I didn't survive. I am going to test this now that we've done that. See, I don't have anything catching. So now I know that it's dry. Let me use Taylor's brush from the other day to make sure we get that all off. But at least that's a good test to know whether this is dry or not. So let me grab, I have already set my stamp up on my MISTI. I don't want to put this fully away because we're going to use it. All right, this is just asking for trouble, right? Okay, I have already set this up because I had done all 3 of these cards. So I thought, why bother to take this apart when I know it's already here? So, and I have one to show you at the end. Instead of tea, I thought I'd show you another color combo with the exact same card layout and everything as my makeup for the tea. How about that? You do want to check, because I did cut this at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I do like to check and see if my stencil made it all the way to the edge. And I'm glad I did, because I can see a small halo right here of white. So I'm going to trim that off. And I suppose I could do this after I embossed. I just don't want to forget. I love this trimmer with the metal line guide, because I can see right where I'm cutting. And I don't know if anyone's ever said this. It's kind of one of those things that I do it and I don't think about it. I always use the blade cutting towards my cardstock and myself, or if I'm up here and I push this way, because I feel like it keeps your cardstock from moving. Sometimes if you were to have your cardstock down here and push, sorry, let me move up, push your blade this way, you can push your cardstock with the blade if you're not careful. So I do try really hard to have my blade coming in the direction of my cardstock. So, but that might be something y'all already know. Going to grab my powder tool. Even though I tested it, I just want to make sure. So I'm going to powder more than usual over all this. So let's put this in place, lock this in place. I did use one of our MISTI grid lines to make sure this was straight and where I wanted. If you guys are not familiar, I don't think yep, I have one right here. They come in a set with some that are clear and some that are gridded and some that are mini size and some that are full size. But it is really a great idea if you would like to make sure that you have your everything right where you want it, which, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I did scooch this up, so I'll show you. Let me grab just a color that's lighter and easier to clean up. So I have this in place, but I do think I had decided to kind of scooch my cardstock up a little bit. So I will take and stamp it right on that grid, and I can see that everything's going straight, and I wish I could remember. I feel like I moved my cardstock up a smidge. Now, I could peel off my stamp and scooch it up if I wanted to, but it is really straight. It is centered perfectly. What I might do instead is, being as I have still a little bit of that temporary tape on the back, is I'm going to scooch my cardstock up, still keep it against the edge so I have a really good like corner to hold everything in my cardstock in place. I can bring this back and see if I like that a little bit better. I think I do, because it gets this yesterday out of this flower. The May still goes over that, but I know my copper embossing powder will show up over that. And then it kind of tucks this You Can Be in between these flowers a little bit better. So personal preference, I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is, scooched up a little bit. And just remember with your MISTI grid is to clean it off. Not because it'll still wipe off at any point in time, but it's an ask me how I know situation. If you go and lay something in there, or you touch it and you pick up that ink because it's non-porous, it's just going to stay there until you wipe it off. Just trust me, wipe it off. I've made messes before with that, so we will clean this off a little bit. I picked a light ink just so that it'd be easier to clean off. But that it is always worth a check, especially if you're doing a few, you've spent a lot of time on that blending, so always a good thing. I'm using a dry side that doesn't have any alcohol on it. I just like to use kind of the corner of that microfiber cloth for dabbing up any little bit of baby wipe that I had there. Don't use rubbing alcohol. I know we use it all the time on our stamps, but or on our stencils. I just want to reiterate, don't use rubbing alcohol on your stamps. Must use stamp cleaner. So just because I can't remember, I'm going to do it again, although I know I did it. then we're going to take Versamark, ink this up. And because I can and I have my magnet in place, I am going to stamp this twice. Grab my Just Press tool. And being this is a fine line word, I will press firmly, but not, I would say not CPR. So the center I will, because I know my center, I just know from doing the other 3 cards that I need to give it just a little more pressure in the middle. So that also goes to show I still have some yellow on my stamp, but that's okay. My copper embossing powder will cover that up. I love those. Yep, a couple of people are chiming in about the Misty grids. I love those things. I'd rather, it's kind of like with carpentry. They always say measure twice, cut once. I feel like checking and putting one of the grids in there to try to check it out, it's just worth it after you've gone through the trouble of making this beautiful panel. So let's get this out of the way. I'm going to bring my embossing powder back. Dump what I've got on there. Shake that on. Oh, and I did a good job. I don't see anything catching to my blend, actual stencil blend. I always powder twice. I don't know about you, but I do always powder twice just because I think sometimes, just in case the powder doesn't get in an area, it just helps. Double check, right? And I'm a scrap piece of paper girl. I just take a scrap piece of paper and I funnel it back into my embossing powder jar. Works great for me. I don't know, I keep like just random little pieces of paper that you've printed and don't need, or came with something like in the mail. I just throw them upstairs by my embossing and I use them. Funny how I never seem to have a shortage of random scratch pieces of paper. Let me grab that heat tool again. Double checking some of my comments here. Oh, you guys are sleuthing. Now you guys are back to Taylor's color of her nails. My nails have nothing to do with the color release. Don't look too close because I do my own gel nails at home. I started doing during COVID just because it gave me something to do to figure out. And I'm not great at it, but I'm good enough. And I don't have to make an appointment, I always say. But the gel nail polish is kind of expensive, so I only have a few colors. I used to only have one. If you guys notice, it was always that mauve purple, which is my favorite. I'm double checking that I got this all embossed. But I have 2 more that I like. Still the mauve purple is my favorite. So when you heat emboss, always heat up the back of your panel just for like 30 seconds. It also helps get your heat tool warm. And then you can switch and go to the front. And this copper, if you're new to embossing, the copper embossing powder or gold embossing powder is so good for a first-time stamper or someone that's embossing for the first time, because you can really see it turn from dull to bright and shiny. So any of the metallics, silver, copper, gold, any of those, it's so apparent that it's done. Because you don't want to overheat, because once you overheat, then it forces the embossing powder back into your paper. But also, if you notice, I stay a good 1 to 2 inches away from my cardstock. But I think I got it all. And again, this is copper. It happens to be one that we don't use much, but I love it. So the other reason why I love it is in our Gonzi Starry Colors. There is this red gold that we hardly ever use here at TE. We love this blue gold, Taylor and I. We use it the most, and the yellow gold. So this one doesn't get as much use, and it matches really well with our copper. So I'm going to take, this is just a spray bottle of water, or if you have a like eyedropper, like not eyedropper, the little liquid dropper things. That works great. I'm just gonna put just a little squirts of water and let that marinate while I get my splatter stuff together. Again, this is the one called Red Gold. It's incoming my splatter box. And then this is just, again, a random piece of typing paper that I cut down because I don't like splattering over my sentiment, and I don't like splattering before I emboss either because I just don't want it on. I don't want the splatter on my sentiment at all. So I just have just a scratch piece of paper that I cut down. The first time I did it, I literally took a piece of paper towel and tore it. So whatever works for you. So I'm going to take my splatter brush, and I have a smaller one here. I have two brushes. This one is a 4, and I believe this one is a 2. And they give me just different results. So Heather, I learned this from Heather. I didn't come up with this. Heather taught me this. That if you want smaller splatters, you use a smaller brush. If you want bigger splatters, you use a bigger numbered brush. And I need all the help I can get when it comes to splattering. But I'm happy with the droplets I'm getting. So I kind of use both, the 4 and the 2. Kind of depends what's clean or within reach. And the one thing for me that I have found, I don't know about you, anyone else that struggles with splatter, a couple of things is don't make it too runny. And second, I try to go slow. I know that sounds dumb, but it seems to make a difference for me. So I go and I hold the brush just flat, and then I tap it with my finger, pointer finger, hand, whatever. And that does a really good job for me. I still feel like I don't have anything down in this corner. Sometimes I feel like if I hurry, I notice it. I call it drops with tails, if you guys know what I mean. They look more like, this is my scrap paper, they look more like that. I don't know about you. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I get if I'm rushing. If I'm slow and steady with my putting down the splatter, I feel like I get more of what I want. I feel like I did a good job. So we will move this out of the way. I'm going to set this aside to dry. And I am going to cheat. I can see I have literally nothing down here, and I still have a little paint on my brush. I don't know why. No splatters got here. So I'm going to cheat. And the cheating never looks good as the actual splattered, ever. But that's all right. There we go. So we have to let that dry, or I can take the heat tool to it. Get my wet brushes out of the way. I'm going to take my heat tool to it. This one that TE sells has a low. I want to dry that because I do want to die cut into this. The good thing about this watercolor, this brand of watercolors, I feel like it dries so fast. And we need that around here at TE. I have another random thing to show you. I don't know if you all have a stamp room like mine, but my stamp room is way away from a water source. So I have come up with very creative ways to clean my splatter brushes, and this is I just love the new glass board. Watch. So I sprayed a little water onto the glass board, and I just swirl my brush into it. That's how I clean my brushes, so I don't have to go down to my sink. Because it never fails. I'll let them sit there, and then I go to reach for them the next project, and I've got a mess because I didn't have it cleaned, and now I have something that resembles mud instead of what I was going after. So, all right, that is clean. And we'll use my microfiber cloth to kind of dry up the wet. We'll test this. My splats, they look dry to me. All right. So I used, get my card back in here. I used the rounded ridged rectangles and the rounded ridged stacklets to cut this apart. So I have the third largest die. So it's this one, 1, 2, 3. that I think makes a really nice frame around my sentiment. You can either cut that first, or I choose to take the largest of the ridged ones and die cut that one first, because I have less space to be off left to right, top to down, or top to bottom, left to right. I have less space to eyeball, if that makes sense to you at all. I will take my ruler. This helps me to know if I've got it straight. Yep, that looks good. And I didn't grab any tape, so I'm gonna cheat. Nope, I don't wanna cheat. I was gonna cheat and grab teal tape, but every time I do that, I'm mad at myself, especially on a blended background, because if your cardstock, even though I've dried it and everything, if it's even the slightest bit wet, it will tear with that teal tape, because it's just a little bit stronger than the Scotch removable. So I am even going to take the Scotch removable, put it on the back of my hand, tape that down. I'm going to double check that this side's straight. Yep. Back of my hand. There we go. I'm going to take that to the die cut machine. We'll keep this one close so I can keep my die cut machine out. Oh, did you all see that just move? It's probably because I removed some of the tack. Boo. Did I bump it, or did it just let go all on its own? That's sad. I think it's popping up when I remove it from the glass board is what's happening. So I'll do it on here. I didn't have this much trouble the other day when I was not live. Isn't that the way it goes? Y'all are watching me. I have an audience, and then things go awry, right? Run this through. And then, while I've got this out, I'm going to take the die that fits. Like I said, it's the third smallest. Oh, sorry, just knocked my camera. I'm going to take that, excuse me, I'm going to kind of get my nose into here so I can see it really good. I can see, and I'll show you what I'm looking at, I can see the end of those ridges. They come up and just about touch the edge of my die, so I know that it's there straight. And I prefer to do it that way. If you wanted to do the straight one first, absolutely fine. Does not matter either which way. I just like having less to look at from the die to the edge of my paper. I just feel like I have a better result. So peel that off. There's our two pieces. We'll get our die cut machine and dies out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and grab an A2 top folding card base, and I did already score it ahead of time. I'm just going to double check that my whole A2 measurements match up with my card base. Also, you want to make extra sure that now that we've die cut this and these flowers, make sure they're still lining up. So I'll flip that over. Not sure what the conversation is. It says pumpkin doesn't have cardstock. If it's a cardstock that's out of stock, just be patient. I think at the retirement, they announced the few colors that were going away, and the rest of them, we're just waiting to get the cardstock back in. So I'm not really sure, but I might have missed the other part of the conversation. If you want to know when a cardstock is coming back in stock, I would highly recommend that you sign up for the notification, the restock notification. We are working very hard behind the scenes to try to restock all of our cardstocks. Just supply chain issues, especially with some paper mills that we work with. So it's going to get better. I really hope. There is light on the horizon. Okay, we're going to tape that down. I will go ahead and put some magnets on that to hold that down while we wait. And then for this piece, I'm going to put some foam behind this, And as you all know, I am a huge fan of the 1/32 1x3 foam. But with this, I really wanted to show, being there isn't any more layers on the top, I really wanted it to be more apparent. So I am going to use our 1/16 1x3 foams. Put this back because I do want to cut this, and foam cuts so much better if it's on its backer. Oh, that still wasn't cut short enough. Pumpkin doesn't have cardstock, huh? That's news to me, but I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one because I wasn't aware of that. So I gotta cut this one down just a little bit more. It's not fitting, so I put it back on my foam or my backer piece because it's just easier to cut. It doesn't stick to your scissors as bad. It's so worth it to just take the time to put it back on its backer sheet. All right, I have overused the foam, but I will not have any saggage. Oh, it was a color combo you all were talking about. Now I'm curious. So now you have my attention. I love good color combos. So if you guys, even if you're not a part of the current combo club, I would go back. I would really highly recommend going back and looking at the live that Taylor did last week Friday for the combo club people. There's so many good color combos on there. I had to come back in the office and I was like, can I take pictures of those? And that's where I got Amy Coakling's color combination from, was last Friday. So I can't think of the date. So it would be, anyway, I can't come up with the date of last Friday. But last week Friday on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to find it. Look under the live tab. But I only peeled off one of the backing pieces. That's what I wanted to say. Just so I don't have so much grabbing while I'm trying to place this in the center. Put that down. Peel off the back of both of these. If this isn't your jam, reaching in here and trying to get these pieces peeled off, I would recommend what many people have told me in the past is to just put some liquid glue over the back side of that foam adhesive. It gives you a little wiggle time, and it does. It works great, but I'm so used to doing this way, I don't think you can, get me to do something different now. So here it is again on the toffee. Here is our one on the perforated paper. And this is just swapping those layers using the one and two as the blue versus the 1 and 2 as the yellow combination. But all the same inks, just swapping the layers. So I have one more to show you. I absolutely adore this one. And I didn't go with it because I didn't know how much I would like yellow on toffee, especially the sweet corn. It might be fine, and I'll probably try it in the future. I'm sure Heather would say that's fine, it's no big deal, and it works great. But I decided to swap to Amy's. So this one is made from, and you're gonna think I don't see peaches, but I put peaches underneath the layer, this bottom layer that I put sweet corn over, or candy corn over the top, and it really gave it I don't know, just a softer yet less bright orange. So that layer I used peaches on the whole thing and uncovered almost all of it with the candy corn. But you can try to skip this if you think you want to try that. It probably will just make for a little bit brighter layer on the bottom there. Candy corn, and then the layer on top is sweet potato. And then I kept this the same. This is still the sweet corn and the honey. And I did, you know what, I did put banana cream pie down first, but kind of clean. That part you could skip because I'm not sure it changed my sweet corn very much. And then my green is green tea. So that is the color combo for that one. And again, still just my TE copper embossing powder. So There's a little bonus, being as I didn't have any tea for you today, talking about colors. And this one I just think is so bright and summery and cheery. So let me bring my cards back in, and I will remind you to follow social media this weekend. There is lots to see. There's lots that they're going to share. There's the games. So, oh, I'm glad. Thank you for sharing. The blue and yellow is still her favorite. I love that. So don't forget to come back and join Taylor next Tuesday at 2. I'm telling you, it's exciting. I'm very excited about it. Oh, I'm just realizing that on my card, I did not put my gold bits and pieces on the one we worked on today, but I'll add that. I knew I was missing something. So join Taylor Tuesday at 10 a.m. and make sure if you are wanting the advent calendar that you get that done ASAP. The deadline is coming up.